All right, hey guys, we are back and we brought a friend, Daisy. Say hey. We brought Daisy just to say hi because we're doing the body image talk today. And I think that this dog has excellent body image, so it's a great mascot for the talk.
She does. She doesn't even care that her ears haven't stood up yet. She's just a baby.
He doesn't care. All right, sweetie, we'll let you go. Back to your muffin. Oh.
She drops my dog, just face plants.
Okay. So we're here today to talk with Erica. She is one of my clients, and we are going to talk more about the body image component of our work together. So when I had first met Erica, she had already done quite a bit of work on herself in terms of therapy and trying out different programs, kind of the whole run-of-the-mill, and she had a really expert background in like training and fitness and all of that. Mm-hmm. Yet you never really felt okay about your body. No. It was just a constant struggle. And as I recall, you would always come at it from the point of view of trying to fix yourself and control your body. If I could just get control over my eating and control over like my exercise, I could fix my body and lose weight, and then I'd be acceptable and everybody would love me, basically.
Totally.
So let's hear more about that, where you were when we first met, the struggles.
Yeah, well, I think it's important, and again, being somebody who, prides myself on being a high achiever, and, whether that was in high school or even, in business, which takes a lot of focus, a lot of self-discipline, persistence, all of these things. So I prided myself on having those qualities inside of me. But I'll tell you what, on the body and food and, that side of things, honestly, if I'm being totally honest, I felt like a total loser. I felt like I didn't have enough self-discipline, and why could I have self-discipline in business, but I couldn't have self-discipline in, eating the right things all the time or not eating the wrong things all the time. And it really was damaging inside. It made me feel like a farce.
And I want to say, we haven't even talked about this yet, but personality typing is one of the specialties of mine that we use together.
So good.
Right? It's so good.
So good.
You'll say, that's so me. So Erica is a type 3, which is the achiever.
3, baby.
Meaning they want to be the best and they hate failure. So for her, she felt like this was an area of her life where she was failing big time.
Yeah.
And you didn't want people to see it. And it feels so visible when we feel like our body is showing the world that we are failing, that we are out of control in our eating. We don't know how to manage this. What a mess.
Yeah, it really, truly. From the time I was a little girl, and this sounds terrible, but my family talked about who was fat and who was not fat, and who was attractive and who was not attractive. And, I have 2 little sisters as well, so I can't say that really helped in the body image department. But that carried through for me even as an adult, those whisperings, it's I would speak on stage, in front of an audience of hundreds of people as an expert. And as I'm putting my dress on to get on stage, just looking at my belly going who's going to listen to me if I'm fat, And my version of fat, I realize is different than other people's, but that's how I really felt. And the areas of insecurity that I had, I felt like everybody could see those. And why would they listen to me if I didn't have self-discipline? That's really what the tie-in was. So it really affected I always could get out there and perform and fake it till you make it, but it never felt genuine, and it wasn't as rewarding because I was always just trying harder, because I thought that people would find me out,
And that's the pain. That's what really attracts me to doing this kind of work, is to see somebody who I can clearly see and other people can clearly see is amazing.
Yeah.
Her worth and value have nothing to do with the size clothes that she wears. What she brings to this picture of the world, to life in general, is so much more than those things. But the fact that she inside felt like, someone who was faking it. What's the word for that?
Imposter syndrome.
An imposter. Yeah. It's just sad. Life is too short to live that way.
Yeah.
And so that's the work we were going to do together, is how do we reconcile that? But again, she came in with the hopes that I was going to give her a tool to fix herself with as well. That was still there.
Totally.
Give me a program. What can I do to get control of my eating?
Yeah.
And so how did that transition, what really happened there? Where did you Because of course that's not what's going to happen. Hate to kill the punchline for you or spoil the ending, spoiler alert, but I don't fix people and I don't give them a program that's going to give them more control.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because like that was another reason that I really trusted you so quickly is because, I mean, I had personal trainers. I had, basically the gamut of like anything that you could spend money on in the fitness industry to try and like fix myself. I had done it. So like I was like, okay, well then, you know, again, skeptical. I'm like, well, what's your plan? Like, what can't I eat now that I'll like be eating again in 6 months? You know, like I mean, seriously. But, you know, Crystal didn't take that approach. And, you know, I was fully expecting like here, you know, same thing as always. Here's your diet plan. Here's your workout plan. You know, here's blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't that. In fact, it was completely the opposite. And, you know, one thing that I loved, Crystal, is you really, you asked the right questions, you know, to find out what my needs are. And especially, you know, having struggled with an eating disorder in the past, which, you know, through my therapy, I stopped like the binge purge behavior, right? Which I thought, okay, I'm healed, like I'm good. Yeah. But what was really happening during that time when you and I first met, and you know this, is, you know, I was actually drinking a lot of coffee in the morning, just to kind of set some context. I would eat breakfast. I would drink a lot of coffee in the morning. I would not eat throughout the day. I would have like something that I felt like was healthy for dinner. Right. And then after dinner, it was like a disaster, you know, like
binge eat.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, I wasn't eating like 12 Big Macs or anything, but I was definitely eating more than I needed and then feeling terrible about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, Crystal, you really like set the foundation for me to kind of open up and talk about that openly in a way that didn't feel judgmental, because that was another thing.
Right.
In the past, coaches I've had that wanted to help, like I would feel like they were really judgmental, and especially if I like didn't follow the plan or if I messed up, like it's like they would come down on me, and I'm like, dude, I'm harder on myself than like anybody else can be.
Right. And I could really feel that with Erica, that there's no reason to add more layers on top of the guilt and shame, the shitty guilt that she already has on top of herself. Like that's only going to exacerbate it and make it worse. And really, it's about cultivating this way of looking at things in a non-judging way. So of course I have to start by practicing that and modeling that for her.
Yeah.
It was really fascinating just to see the ways she was going about her day that were actually setting up the binge behavior. Because in her mind, she was binging because she was a bad person, she was weak, she had no control.
Totally.
But from my perspective is actually, it's like a formula. It's like a mathematical formula. When you put one and one together, you make two. All the things you're doing throughout the day are leading to a binge naturally. It's your body's way of trying to survive.
Yeah.
And we also had to parcel out the difference between the physical components that were causing binging and then the mental components, because they're very, very different, and emotional as well. So there was many layers to explore together, but the first one we tackled would be the physical components, right? So we went into more the physical side of what we could adjust in her day when it came to, you know, meal timing and caffeine and sleep and all of that, which we won't go into the details of.
Sure.
But that was huge. And then we started to piece out the emotional and psychological components.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I really just thought that, you know, eating everything at night, eating all the things at night was just because I was like a bad person and I didn't have self-discipline and I just sucked at life, basically. But I really didn't understand that there's like a hormonal component. You know, I grew up in a very male-dominated environment, and like hormones are not a thing.
No.
You know, I didn't realize there was a hormonal component. I didn't realize that there was something that I could do to positively or negatively affect my metabolism. I just thought that it is what it is. It's good or it's bad, and that's that. I didn't understand. You know, I did DNA fit testing with Crystal.
Right.
She facilitated that, which completely opened my eyes.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. So those things that we tackled, like, it kind of like took a little bit of pressure off of me too, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm not just a failure at life. Like, there are some physical things that we can tackle.
Yeah, you know what I like that you're highlighting here, and what I'd like to bring to your all's attention is that my background in training is really like 50-50 I'd say psychological, spiritual, mixed with all of the science. So I spent 15, almost 20 years now in the health and fitness industry as a medical exercise specialist, as a holistic nutritionist, like going deep on the science behind why our bodies do what they do. But that's only a part of it. The psychology of this, and then also the soulfulness of like what's really happening in a person, that's often the missing ingredient. So when we work together, we really want to work on all of those areas. And I think that holistic approach was really key for your evolution together, because she had already done so much of the physical work that, you know, just really got you more stuck.
Yeah. Right? And, you know, something else that was interesting too, you know, because I was very like internally resistant to like methodologies around diet and exercise. I had done it all. Like literally, I know I mentioned that before, but I had done, you know, zone and paleo and low carb and Atkins and South Beach. I've done CrossFit. I have, you know, done running, which I like hate. But I dedicated myself to it because that's what I was taught, is like running is the best way to lose weight. And so I did that. And, you know, for me, like if there's any runners out there, like just for me, I got down to an 8-minute mile and I like worked on my running form, and I like got to this place where I felt like I was a, you know, a decent runner, and I still hated it, you know? I did all of this stuff, and what I didn't realize is many of those things that I was doing that I felt like were the right thing to do for my body. I mean, you actually taught me was part of what was causing the issue physiologically and just adding to the damage that I was doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that we could probably, oh, the puppy's going crazy. Well, I think the next segment of what we'll do is, this is like a perfect segue, and to wrap it up for today, next time I think we should talk more about the mentality, that actually drives binge eating behavior, dysfunctional eating, all of that. That was the part that you were picking up on when it comes to like pushing yourself to do exercise that you don't want to do, for instance.
Yeah.
That is huge. And if we can wrap our minds around that, you're just so much further ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So we'll dive more into like body positivity. Like that's a big movement now that you guys are probably hearing more about.
Yeah.
And the psychology behind binge eating and further development.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
That's a big one. So stay tuned, I guess.
I guess.
We'll say bye with Daisy.
Bye, Daisy.
Oh.
Adios.